White ghosts emerge from birch trees at 20 meters. Finnish ski troops wrapped in snow capes and armed with Suomi submachine guns open fire into Soviet columns stalled on the frozen Karelian Isthmus. The drumbeat roar of automatic fire, 71 rounds per magazine, shreds through winter air at 488 meters per second. Red Army soldiers collapse in waves, their bolt-action Mosin nagants useless against this storm of lead. The Matti, Finnish for killing pocket, fills with bodies as temperatures plunge past -30 Celsius. A Soviet captain fumbles with his rifle's bolt. 5 shots. That's all he can deliver before a Finn fires again. The mathematics of slaughter are brutal and simple. One Suomi empties its drum in under 5 seconds of sustained fire. One Finnish squad can hold a forest road against 200 men. Stalin watches these casualty reports flood into Moscow throughout the winter of 1939 and 1940, each telegram screaming the same desperate message. The Red Army drowns in its own blood because most of its common soldiers still carried bolt-action rifles while submachine guns remained scarce. The shock of Finnish automatic weapons, combined with early war disasters, pushed Moscow toward a weapon that could be built by the hundreds of thousands. If you're interested in how wars are actually decided by logistics, math, and doctrine, subscribe now, turn on notifications, and stay tuned for more in-depth World War analysis. Let's continue. In the Kremlin's armories, designers tear apart captured Suomi drums. PPD-40 submachine guns exist, but production crawls. Each weapon requires 13.7 machine hours of careful craftsmanship. The Winter War devours men faster than Soviet factories can arm them. Stalin demands something cheaper, faster, simpler. The answer arrives on a drafting table. Stamped steel instead of milled parts. Chrome-lined barrels cut 2 at a time from Mosin Nagant barrel blanks. A hinged receiver that pivots upward for maintenance. Assembly time drops to just 5.6 hours. Parts count falls to 87 components, with 24 formed from pressed carbon steel. No intricate machining. No skilled craftsmen required. Factory workers with basic training can bolt these weapons together as fast as the presses stamp them. The design accepts both 71-round drums and 35-round curved box magazines. A wooden stock houses the trigger system, select fire capable, though in practice troops treated semi-automatic as an afterthought, firing almost entirely on full auto. Why waste time with single shots? The tactical doctrine writes itself in Finnish snow. Volume of fire wins. A compensator built into the barrel shroud fights the climb from 900 rounds per minute. Practical effective range holds steady, at roughly 100 to 200 meters, perfect for the close-quarters forest fighting that defines the Eastern Front. Metal screams as the hacksaw bites steel. Georgy Shpagin's hands position the blade against the barrel blank, measuring twice before the cut. The cut screams through the Tula workshop, metal dust spiraling into shafts of weak daylight filtering through factory windows. One barrel blank becomes 2 submachine gun barrels, each measuring 269 millimeters from breech to muzzle. He sets the first severed section aside, chromium lining intact, 4 grooves still visible in the bore. The second cut follows the first measurement exactly. 2 barrels from 1. The arithmetic of desperation. Across the factory floor, women who assembled sewing machines 3 months earlier now operate stamping presses that form receiver shells from flat carbon steel sheets. The press descends with hydraulic force, bending metal into the distinctive curved shape that will house bolt and spring assembly. No milling required. No precision machining. Just pressure applied to templates, forming ejection ports and magazine wells in single strikes. Each operator completes her pressing sequence, passes the warm metal forward to the next station where cooling slots get punched into what will become the barrel shroud. The pieces move down tables still hot from formation. A teenage worker named Victor pins pressed barrels into receivers using nothing but a hammer and alignment jig. The chrome-lined sections slide into place, surrounded by perforated shrouds that double as compensators when the weapon fires at its designed cyclic rate. No welding, no threading. Pressed and pinned, the assembly holds together through friction and geometry. His supervisor times the process. Barrel installation takes 11 minutes, including inspection. At the finishing station, wooden furniture gets attached to completed upper assemblies. Stocks measuring 843 millimeters overall slide onto receiver rails, locked with simple pins that require no tools beyond a punch. Triggers mount on frames slung beneath the wood, selector switches positioned inside guards where frozen fingers can still operate them. The assembled weapons stack in crates marked for rail transport, unloaded weight of each piece recorded at 3.63 kilograms. Spagen walks the production line, stopwatch in hand, calculating total assembly time from raw materials to crated hardware. The factory floor echoes with pneumatic hisses and metal strikes. Another receiver drops from the press. Another barrel gets severed from old stock. The line continues without pause, transforming barrel blanks into volume firepower through industrial efficiency. The soldiers move through the skeletal remains of a textile factory on Stalingrad's northern edge, their boots crushing frozen debris. 6 men carry PPSh, the drum-fed submachine guns that weigh 5.45 kilograms, when fully loaded with 71 rounds of 7.62 by 25 mm Tokarev ammunition. Breath clouds in the negative 15-degree air. The lead rifleman pushes through a doorframe missing its door, entering a stairwell where wallpaper hangs in strips like dead skin. Gunfire erupts from the second floor. The PPSh opens up, 900 rounds per minute cycling through its open bolt mechanism. Brass cases eject straight upward from the center port, tumbling through frozen air, clinking against rubble. The drum empties in less than 5 seconds. Muzzle flash illuminates concrete dust. The barrel shroud glows faintly, heat radiating against the soldier's gloved hand. Across the room, a German Lanzer works the bolt of his Karabiner, 98K, 5 rounds. Manual action. His fingers fumble the mechanism. Another Soviet rushes the gap with a curved box magazine variant, holding 35 rounds. The lighter 4.3 kilogram configuration better suited for stairwell charges. Each short bursts. 3 rounds pause, 4 rounds. The selector switch inside the trigger guard stays forward, full automatic position. A German MP-40 jams. The bolt freezes mid-cycle, where finer tolerances choked in freezing mud, while the PPSh's crude clearances kept it running. The defender discards it, draws a pistol. Too late. The PPSh cuts him down at effective range, 100 meters across the factory floor where looms once stood in rows. The Soviets advance through connecting rooms. One soldier carries only box magazines now, 5 curved steel containers clipped to his belt, each stamped from 1mm sheet with reinforcing ribs. Another changes drums, the spring-loaded mechanism clicking into place beneath the wooden stock. They reach the 3rd floor landing. 4 bodies. 3 German, 1 Soviet. Empty drum magazines litter the concrete, the high-capacity feeding system that turns factory workers into adequate infantry. A frozen MP-40 lies beside its owner, bolt locked open on an empty chamber. The squad leader signals forward with 2 fingers. They push into the next room where windows once faced the Volga. Now only gaps remain, wind howling through the structure. The PPSh lead, drums ready, 87 stamped parts per weapon, functioning in conditions that silence more refined designs. The soldiers stack against an interior wall. Through the doorway ahead, movement, someone breathing. Tungsten lamps cast yellow pools across metal benches. The Wehrmacht armory smells of gun oil and chrome solution, where captured Soviet weapons lie in various states of transformation. A technician's hands grip a Russian gun, its stamped steel receiver already separated at the hinge pin, the simple 2-piece design the Soviets abandoned in 1942 for a solid pin locked with tube, though this weapon predates that change. He pivots the receiver upward via the spring-loaded end cap, exposing the bolt and return spring guide rod with its fiber buffer at the rear. Another armorer measures the magazine well with calipers, calculating the modifications needed to accept German MP-40 feeding systems instead of the original 7.62 by 25 mm Tokarev configuration. Metal filings accumulate beneath his workspace as a grinding wheel reshapes the receiver's magazine catch, sparks bouncing off his leather apron in brief orange trajectories. The chamber requires remachining for the different cartridge dimensions. Across the workshop, an officer supervises the printing of instruction manuals. German text blocks arranged in frames beside technical diagrams showing the hinged receiver access, the cocking handle safety that locks the bolt open or closed, the integrated striker permanently fixed to the bolt face requiring no separate maintenance. He stamps each completed manual with the official designation, MP-717-R. The letter indicates Russian origin, a bureaucratic acknowledgement of expedience over ideology. Production cards track each converted weapon, serial numbers recorded in ledger columns alongside completion dates and assigned units. A stack of modified guns grows on a cart near the door, their receivers closed and secured, their magazine wells now compatible with German ammunition logistics. The workshop maintains a steady rhythm. The whine of grinding wheels, the tap of hammers against drift punches, the click of receivers hinging shut after inspection. A sergeant enters with another crate of captured weapons, their drums removed, their bolts locked back for transport. He sets the crate beside a workbench and opens the manifest folder. The conversion schedule extends through the month. Frozen ridges near Chosin Reservoir, December 1950. Chinese infantry advance through snow in quilted jackets. The distinctive sound arrives first, a rapid cloth-tearing burst at 900 rounds per minute. Burp guns. Curved 35-round box magazines protrude from stamped steel receivers as soldiers fire from prone positions. The cyclic rate produces overlapping reports that blend into continuous roar. Muzzle compensators integrated into barrel shrouds kick upward slightly with each burst. Brass ejects straight up through center ports, spinning into white drifts. American forces withdraw under that mechanical drumbeat, recognizing the weapon's silhouette even through blizzard conditions. Jungle Canopy, Mekong Delta, 1967. A Viet Cong tunnel entrance hidden beneath palm fronds. Inside the cache, 3 of the automatics wrapped in oiled cloth, wooden stocks dark with humidity. One fighter loads a drum. 71 rounds of 7.62 cartridges. The hinged receiver pivots upward via its spring-loaded end cap for cleaning. He inspects the fixed striker on the bolt face, checks the fiber buffer at the receiver's rear. The select fire switch sits inside the trigger guard, forward position for full automatic. The chromium-lined bore shows little wear despite decades of service. At practical effective range of roughly 100 to 200 meters, the weapon remains lethal in close jungle engagement. Baghdad suburbs, 2003. American soldiers clear an insurgent safehouse. Under floorboards, wooden crates stenciled with Cyrillic characters. Inside, 6 submachine guns with drum magazines still attached. A sergeant lifts one, feeling the balance. The stamped construction shows minimal rust. He pivots the receiver upward, the hinge mechanism still smooth after 6 decades. Another soldier photographs serial numbers for intelligence reports. The cooling slots in the barrel shroud reveal pressed and pinned construction. These pieces traveled from Stalingrad's factories through Korean mountains and Vietnamese paddies to Iraqi concrete. The weapon that answered Finnish Suomis on the Karelian Isthmus now rests in evidence bags under desert sun. Spagen's design outlived the state that commissioned it. The same drumbeat roar that shredded winter air above frozen Soviet columns at 488 meters per second echoes still, carried by hands that never knew its origin, fired in forests, and cities that weren't born when white ghosts first emerged from birch trees. If you enjoyed this story, Hit subscribe for more World War II historical deep dives every week. Thanks for watching.